Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to my YouTube Live where we talk about everything CFO and advisory related. Now, today we are going to talk about why you're not getting CFO clients. And I know a lot of people think it's for one particular reason, but I'm here to tell you that that's not true. That is not true. So a little bit more information, my channel. We talk about all things CFO and advisory related. I would love it if you would go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you're notified of anytime we drop new content. If you have questions about CFO, would love to hear from you. We go live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and like I said, we are here to chat about today why you aren't getting clients, but not for the reason that you think. So let's get into this. So there are a couple of reasons why people aren't getting CFO clients. Let's start with why most people think they're not getting clients. It must be me. I must be doing something wrong. I must be going after the wrong people, or I just don't know where to find them. It must be something I'm doing. And I'm here to tell you it's not. It's not. We've been misled as to how to get clients. How to get clients. The first thing that you have to understand specifically about CFO advisory clients is that business owners aren't looking for you. Like, a lot of business owners don't know what a fractional CFO does. They don't understand that we are able to help them manage cash and grow revenue and be more profitable and plan for the future and solve their problems. They don't know that. So they, of course, aren't looking for it. They don't know what we do. And the few who do know what we do, they assume that they can't afford it. You hear the word CFO, at least they hear the word CFO, and they hear this enormous salary. And so they're thinking, well, yeah, that sounds great, but I can't afford that. They don't know that we come at a much lower price point than a corporate CFO type. They also sometimes think that they're too small to need one. So they think that, oh, that's just for big businesses. That's just for corporate companies. That's not for me. They don't recognize that they have the exact same problems as corporate companies. They just don't have the resources, the money, the time to hire someone at that caliber, which is why we fit into that, why there's a need for us. Because we fit into that, we not only meet that need, but we do it at a price that they can afford. So the question really becomes, what happens if they don't? What happens when you can't get clients that way? Well, the result is business owners, they don't know that they need to look for help, and they certainly don't recognize the value of what we do. So they just don't reach out. And that is one of the biggest reasons why it is harder to get clients than you think. The second reason is that a lot of people go about doing it the wrong way. I mean, a lot of people go in and update a profile, whether it's their LinkedIn profile or their Pro Advisor profile, and hope. And hope is great, but it's not really a strategy. A lot of people think, okay, I'll just update my website and people will come in. Well, like I said before, business owners aren't necessarily looking for us. So updating your website is going to have no impact on them finding us, or they rely on word of mouth. Well, if the average Joe can't clearly explain what we do and the value we create, it is going to be a pretty tough sell to get that word of mouth action. And then finally, cold messages. A lot of people just send out random emails and hope for the best. But what results happen is that there's really no traction. No one responds because they don't really, again, know where to find us or think that they need us. They do absolutely need us. They just don't know it yet. So we have to do our best to get in front of them. So what are some of the things that they do instead of let's rephrase. What are some of the things that they do to solve these potential problems? Well, that business owner, they think, you know what, I just got to hustle more. I just got to go faster, do better. I got to work harder. And it's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. And that is part of what we bring to the table. They might try to run discounts or sales to drive revenue. And that's great if you're doing a one-off sale or you have a very strict cadence as to how often you run sales and at what percentage you run sales off at. But if you are constantly running sales, it starts to dilute your brand. You become known as the person who is always running a sale. I don't need to buy now because just wait a week or two, there'll be a sale. You don't want to be that person. That's what a lot of business owners do, though. You spend time on the wrong priorities. So you are spending time on things like, okay, maybe I should run a sale, or okay, maybe I should look to see what's happening with my clients, like who's my customers, who's really buying. And sometimes those are the right priorities and sometimes they're the wrong ones. They don't have anyone there guiding them, telling them, hey, this is what you should be focused on. If you're looking to grow your business, this is what you should be focused on. If you're looking to manage cash, here's how we can do that. They often rely on referrals. So that word of mouth or someone that they know, but you know what? Your referral network only goes so far. That is not a clear strategy. And then they often make business decisions based on that gut feeling that a lot of people have. They don't do it based on data. And what that ends up being, that gap that results in them trying to fix a problem the right way versus the wrong way, that results in a big gap that strategic, financial, CFO advisors, fractional CFOs are primed to take. So those are some of the things that they try to do to fix the problem. But even when they try to do those things, often a lot of times DIY, when they try to do it themselves, it breaks down because they don't have the time to dig into the numbers, to really understand the underpinnings of what's going on within the business. They don't have any tools that make it easier for them. They got into their business because they love flowers, for example, if it's a florist. They didn't do it because they love financials. So they just don't have the tools or the wherewithal to make sense of the data. And that's no fault on them. I don't know diddly about flowers. So, I mean, everybody's got their own strengths and weaknesses. They don't know if the information is accurate, if they're making decisions based on good data. That is the most important thing to a CFO is good data. Once you know that you have good data, you can go on and do all of the fractional CFO work. But a business owner doesn't know if that's accurate. They know what their bookkeeper tells them. And if the bookkeeper says it's accurate, even if it's not, they don't know how to see those differences. They don't know how to say, hey, wait a minute, are you sure? They don't have finance experience. Like I said, they are florists. They are not financial people. And they don't have the energy. Like most small business owners, they are going nonstop 24/7. They are in it. And they don't have the time or energy to devote to this whole other job. And let's call that what it is. It is a whole nother job to manage the financials and the strategy and the plans of a business. So that's why you're not getting clients. What are some of the things that you can do to get clients? Well, I know a big one is that a lot of people use and say it doesn't work, but it doesn't work because maybe you're not doing it right. Is LinkedIn. A lot of people use LinkedIn and they've tried it and they're like, it doesn't work. It does work. It does work if you have something called a lead magnet. If you're able to give them, give them a resource that provides just a ton of value and give that to them for free, people will be knocking down your door trying to talk to you. So there are some strategies around LinkedIn that maybe you're not aware of. That said, believe me when I say it works. I've seen it time and time and time and time again. The other thing is networking. And I know a lot of people are like, and I get it. I'm not a big people person. I got into finance because, numbers are easier than people. But you can't argue with results. If you are looking for clients, networking opportunities, specifically something called Business Networking International, that is one of the best ways we have seen to get clients. It is a referral-based membership group chapter, and you refer business back and forth with other members. And it is a gold mine when it comes to CFO clients. So those are just a few of the things that you can do. There are lots. In fact, I made a list the other day of all of the ways you can get clients, and I came up with over 50. And that was just like right off the top of my head. I didn't even really think about it too much. So there are lots of ways to get clients, but you have to know the ones that work and the ones that work great and the ones that work. So there you go. That is all we were going to talk about today. If you have questions, this would be a good time to let me know. Actually, let me check something here. Okay. So if you have questions or comments, be sure to leave them in the chat. If you're listening to the replay, go ahead, leave comments, and I will get questions answered for you. If you have an opinion on something, I'd love to hear it. Again, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. And that is it for this week. We will see you next week for another edition of the CFO Insider. Everybody have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.